Welcome. It's so exciting to be here and have the opportunity to talk to you about a topic that I'm just so passionate about. I really want to acknowledge you for choosing to spend the next 20 or so minutes with me, empowering yourself with information that's really going to help you safeguard your family history. Now, who am I? My name's Carly Michael, and if you're wondering where my accent is from, it's from Melbourne, Australia. I'm a photographer and I grew up in my family's camera store, Michael's Camera Video and Digital, and our shop's 100 years old and it's the largest camera store in the Southern Hemisphere. I studied photography and became a professional photographer and eventually started working at my family's business where I managed the photo lab and the education departments and also ran events for almost 10 years. Now, this is a photo of me outside Michael's, which is located right in the centre of Melbourne CBD or downtown. And here is another photo of me giving a tour of the lab during one of our photo shows. My absolute favourite part about working in the lab is that we were always either creating prints from digital files or scanning physical items such as film and prints and converting them to digital files. We really were in that state of flux between those two realms, either converting information from digital to analog or analog to digital. Honestly, I felt like a magician. My love of scanning and archiving was taken to the next level when I discovered that there's actually a whole industry of people who organize photos. I felt like I'd found my calling, so at the start of this year, I went out on my own and I started my own business, Photo Genie. And now I work as a professional photo organizer, and I've made it my mission to help families organize and manage their photos so that their history will be safe, accessible, and relevant to future generations. Now let's talk about photos. Can you imagine life without them? Compared to other arts developed over thousands of years, photography is still in its infancy. The dawn of photography really took place in the early 1800s in Europe, and by 1850 it had spread rapidly around the world. In the 200 years since the birth of modern photography, we have completely transformed the way that we document and tell the stories of our lives. It's gone from being the hobby of the wealthy to becoming the most widely available art form. Remarkably, the rapid proliferation of photographs from a few million images to a billion has nearly all taken place in the first decade of this century, and more than 1 trillion new photographs are now created every year. Historically speaking, within a blink of an eye, photography has become part of the very fabric of our existence. Now, your wedding, your first baby, your child's graduation day, in life there are moments just so valuable that you can't even bear the thought of losing them, right? Yet our relationship with the photos and the lack of responsibility we demonstrate to preserving our images is dangerous. The digital age and our go, go, go lifestyles has caused us to become flippant about our photos. Sometimes we put managing them into the too hard basket, and we can be fooled into thinking that it's a luxury to dedicate time to organize our photos. But I think something we can all agree on is that when the threat of losing these memories becomes real, the true importance and values of our photos come to light. We all know that during natural disasters, it's family photos that people take as some of their very few possessions. Now let's talk about why we take photos. Why is it that you grab the camera and take photos when you have an opportunity? Why are almost 250,000 photos uploaded to Facebook every single minute? For most of us, we take photos to tell the stories of our lives. You would have heard the phrase, "a picture says 1,000 words." Well, visual language is simple and powerful, and we use our images to connect with others and communicate our stories in a way that words simply can't. Everyone with a smartphone has access to a camera, and there's just so many other image capturing devices available today, like drones, tablets, webcams, action cams, even screenshots. With so much technology easily accessible, we are capable of capturing so much imagery. This year, we will take 1.4 trillion photos. And the total number of photos that are stored, saved on devices, will be 7.4 trillion, which is expected to grow to 9.3 trillion in 2022. And that's just the number of digital photos. That's on top of the 1.7 trillion paper photos that still exist in this world. Clearly, there's been an explosive growth in the number of images created in the last few years. No wonder we feel completely overwhelmed. See, the easy part is taking the photos. In the digital world, it just doesn't cost us anything to continually press the shutter. But as a society, we haven't quite figured out what the bloody hell we do with all these digital photos. We have not been given standard practices or guidelines that tell us what is the right way to manage our digital lives. We're drowning in a sea of photos that we simply don't know how to deal with. We were thrown into this digital age without any training wheels. But this photo mess is not the major problem I'm concerned about today. This is the problem. Your digital photos are not safe. That's right. Digital photos are not guaranteed to last more than a decade or two, and that's being generous. Digital photos can simply disappear, like a puff of smoke, and for a variety of reasons. The truth is, there is no 100% fail-safe storage solution for your digital photos. Take a look in your own life. Have you ever lost digital photos? Have you ever had a hard drive crash? Or have you got photos stored on a device that you simply can't find an adapter for? I want to introduce you to Vint Cerf, widely known as one of the fathers of the internet, because he literally created the architecture of the World Wide Web. Sorry, my little picture is over his name, but that's okay. Vint Cerf, pictured here, is currently the vice president of Google worldwide. For the last few years, he's been speaking about something called the digital dark age. He says that if we don't act now, we risk losing all the data we've created in the 21st century. In other words, this generation, us, the ones that are taking more photos on a daily basis than ever existed before, is on the path to being forgotten because our digital information will soon be lost forever. I'm going to repeat that. What he is saying is that he is worried that all the images and documents we've been saving on computers will eventually be lost. Now, before I elaborate, I just want to talk quickly about the Dark Ages. I found it really interesting when I took the time to read up about what the Dark Ages actually refers to. In historical terms, the Dark Ages took place between the years 500 and 1500 AD, and it refers to a period of time in Europe where relatively few historical records survived, resulting in this section of history to be unknown to modern historians. I'm just going to repeat that in simpler terms. That's 1,000 years of history that disappeared only 500 years ago. I think something that this coronavirus has taught us is that it's not as if it can't happen to us. So going back to Vint, what he fears is that the future generations will have little or no record of the 21st century as we enter what is described as the digital dark age. So we're faced with a number of threats to images which only exist to us as digital files. The first threat, as technology evolves, the hardware and the software that we use becomes obsolete, superseded, and replaced. In the last 30 years, we've seen many types of media come and go, right? Cassette tapes, floppy disks, zip disks, CDs, DVDs, VHS tapes, compact flash cards, the list goes on. The technology required to access the data from these devices are no longer produced. DVD drives, for example, are well and truly going the way of the floppy. Most laptops don't even have DVD drive options, and they're vanishing from desktops too. What about USB drives? Apple's taken them out of the latest computers. What does that say? Will you be able to read a DVD in 10 years? Will you be able to read your USB stick in 10 years? Probably not so easily. The second threat in the lifespan of digital storage is the lifespan, of digital storage media. The sad truth about data storage is that no medium will last forever. CDs, DVDs, and Blu-ray discs are widely available, but they don't hold a lot of information. CDs and DVDs are said to last for 10 years or so if you purchase good quality media. External hard drives over here, we've all got them. Did you know that they're expected to last between 2 and 8 years? That's right. After 8 years, it's predicted that your external hard drive will fail. What's more, their interfaces, the plugs used to connect the drive to your computer, are also becoming obsolete. I just mentioned USBs before. Then there's solid state drives, which are like memory sticks, USB sticks, the new flash drives. They're all hard drives without moving parts, and they're now said to last about 10 years. And then we've got the cloud. Cloud storage is commonly used to store digital photos. So when we use the cloud, we're putting our trust in what's often a profit-hungry company. We're trusting them to take care of our data. We're giving away our control. Now, how many of you take the time to read the fine print when you sign up to these services? I'm going to fly through these, but these are some excerpts from Apple's terms and conditions. And my little face is hiding. I'm going to move me. There we go. If Apple is unable to successfully charge your credit card or payment account for fees due, Apple reserves the right to revoke or restrict access to your stored content, delete your stored content, or terminate your account. In other words, if you miss a payment, you lose your content. Your account is non-transferable, and that any rights to your Apple ID or content within your account terminate upon your death. In other words, when you die, your account and all its content is deleted. You are responsible for backing up to your own computer or other device any important documents, images, or other content that you store. In other words, when you sign up for iCloud, they explain that they are not responsible for corruption or loss and recommend that you have another backup of your data. Last month, in the space of 2 weeks, I'm talking August 2020, we saw 3 major companies either lose customers' data permanently or give us a taste of the risks that we take. I'll start with Canon. Canon lost customers' data from their cloud service due to a simple coding error. JPEG files can only be recovered as tiny thumbnails, and video files are irrecoverable. Canon issued a statement that they're very sorry. Lightroom, Adobe Lightroom, also lost customers' data from their cloud service. Customers were asked to download the latest software update for their iOS app, and suddenly their photos and all their presets were gone. Adobe confirmed that the data is gone for good. I'll move me away. And in mid-August, all Google services went down for a few hours. This outage resulted in emails not being sent nor received, documents on Google Drive not being uploaded or synced. And at the time of the recording of this webinar, Google were reporting that they hadn't identified the issue, but rumors had it that it was a result of glitches in the updates for the firm's cloud services. The other major concern with storing our data in the cloud is privacy, and privacy costs money. The more you pay, the more secure the cloud service will be. And I am going to go through these quickly. This is an excerpt from Google Drive's terms of service. I'll let you read that quickly, but basically what it says is that Google mines your data and uses it for marketing purposes. And what about long-term accessibility? This is Google Drive's discontinuation policy. Basically, it's saying that Google can also delete all of your data with only 60 days of notice. So the reality is, most of these forms of digital backups only offer temporary solutions. Data loss starts to begin at 1 year for a DVD, 2 to 3 years for hard drives. You start to see breakdown at about 5 years for flash drives. And even though cloud is convenient, you can risk losing your data, its availability, its ownership, its privacy. So the question of the day is, Will more family photos survive from Gran's lifetime than from yours? The best backup is still a paper archive, which can survive centuries of neglect. Prints have the best chance of standing the test of time. When you create physical photo albums or photo books, you increase the odds that your family story and precious memories will succeed you. The problem that we currently face is that more images are being captured than ever before, but print numbers continue to drop year on year. With the adoption of digital photography and the shift towards displaying and storing images in digital environments, we seem to have no need to print. Not to mention the chronic disorganization of our digital mess, which makes it virtually impossible to even find a photo you're looking for. Our relationship with prints has changed drastically over the last 2 decades. We've forgotten the value and importance of printed, framed, and mounted photographs in our lives and for the generations after us. We all know that children love to see images of themselves around the house, and newlyweds have fond memories when they see their wedding photo on the mantle or up on walls. And see, back in the day, and I'm even old enough to remember the film days, taking photos cost money. So we were far more careful and considerate. We only printed a few, and so only the important images have survived. Now, I'm not sharing these examples to scare you, but to bring your awareness to a problem that you may not know that you have, so that you can start taking steps to take control of your photos so that they will survive. The reality is that most of our photos are already lost. Have you experienced the frustration and anxiety of not being able to find a photo when you want it? How defeated do you feel when you can just see it in your mind's eye but just can't figure out where to locate it? And what happens with that photo in the end? Nothing, because it's lost. If your photos are disorganized, you simply cannot access them. You can't enjoy them, and you can't share their stories when it suits you. If your photos are disorganized, you are staring down the barrel of the digital dark age. A photo is important to you in the moment that you take it, and again in that moment when you need it. But between those 2 points in time, you do not give any attention to managing your photos. And that is the problem. And the solution is this: having your photos organized and putting in place a systematic backup system will guarantee that your photos and you and your family history will not fall victim to the digital dark age. Having your photos organized and backed up allows you to find the photos you want when you want them. It gives you peace of mind knowing that your photos are safe and accessible. It allows you to do things with your photos, to share them, to create with them, to allow your children and their children to know where they came from. It's your insurance policy against fire, flood, theft, as well as obsolescence and storage device failures. Though I highlighted the shortcoming of storage devices for digital images, they still do serve an important part of your backup plan for your photo collection. You just need to be smart about it. Having a carefully managed digital catalog allows you to effectively and systematically organize, manage, and find your photos. The photo managers recommend the 3-2-1 backup method for your photos. That is, having 3 copies of each photo stored in 2 locations and one of those locations being off-site. Having an active and well-executed plan around your backup system, including a maintenance program and plans for data migration to different devices, is vital to ensure your photos are safe. Now, father of the internet and Google Vice President Vint Cerf has issued his warning to us all. Physically print your data or risk losing it to a digital dark age. There is a real danger, he says, that a family who doesn't make prints or manage their electronic images will find themselves without any photo history. We are currently creating more photos than ever, and the value of any one image is very low because we just take so many. If, and that is a big if, you actually want your future generations to experience what you have in discovering a rich history of photos from the past, then you will have to take this all much more seriously. Simply making prints of absolutely everything also just won't help. What's required is proper curation of your photos, careful selection, careful application of metadata, and by that I mean who is in the photos, what's happening, where and when it was taken, and also careful printing at reputable professional services who use archival materials. We've been incredibly lucky until now. Early photographic processes were very stable and prints lasted. And because the prints used to cost us money, only a few were printed, so only the most important images have survived. But today, our life, our memories, and our most cherished family photographs almost exclusively exist as bits of information on hard drives or in the cloud. And as technology keeps advancing, we risk our photos getting lost in the midst of the accelerating digital revolution. CDs, DVDs, flash drives, solid-state drives, spinning disk hard drives, film and cloud storage all have benefits and drawbacks. So the only way to really guarantee your digital photos will last a lifetime is to print them. And in order to print them, you need to be able to find them. And that requires having them organized and curated. When disaster strikes, photos are shown to almost always be the most cherished possessions for a family. Leaving your photos to deal with on a rainy day is literally putting your family legacy at risk. This is now an urgent situation. We are facing a catastrophic loss of our social history, but you don't have to be forgotten. You now know what to do. To avoid your family history being lost forever to the digital dark age, you need to take control and get them organized. Now, I'm sure you've heard the saying, a journey of 1,000 miles begins with the first step. 2 years ago, I didn't know that the photo managers even existed. I didn't know that there was a step-by-step method already developed to help people take their photos from being in absolute chaos to order. So the fact that you are watching this video means that you are already connected in some way to the photo managers. We, the photo managers, are a global community of photo organizers, a group of professionals who have your back. This summit is a testament to that. We are committed to preserving photos and family histories, and we have so many resources to help you get started. I mentioned in the beginning that I grew up in a camera shop and then pursued a career in photography. So I'm sure you can imagine I personally have oodles and oodles of photos. So I've started a blog, www.documentmylife.com.au, and I encourage you to subscribe to it to follow me on my own personal journey, documenting my own life and figuring it out. So I'll be posting also industry-related news and tips and tricks, so I think this will become a great resource. I've also written an ebook full of information about how to preserve your family history photos and avoid the digital dark age. It's free and it's available for download at www.photogenie.com.au/digitaldarkage. And finally, I'll just move myself away. There you go. If you want to have your questions answered, join our private Facebook group and ask questions to the pros. It's called Advice from the Pros. Now, thanks for choosing to spend the last 20 or 25 minutes with me. I really acknowledge you for being someone who takes their family history seriously and is taking steps to preserve it. I really hope you enjoy the rest of the summit and you got something from this talk. Bye for now.